Today is such an exciting day because I'm finally able to share with you all my collaboration with BK Beauty and my Pro Artist Series 7-piece brush set. I have been saving this box. In particular, I have been holding on to it. I've had it for a couple months now, and I've just been bursting at the seams to share this collaboration with you all because it's so near and dear to my heart. I am so incredibly proud of these 7 brushes that I designed with BK Beauty. This collaboration has been in the works for over a year now, and it is something that is so incredibly special to me. I can't even put into words because not only is BK Beauty a brand that I've been using for the past at least 2 years, maybe even longer, honestly, and they have slowly but surely replaced all of the brushes that were once essential to me in my professional makeup kit and also my personal kit. Their brushes are top quality. I've been using them and raving about them for years now, as you've seen on my channel. So there's so much thought and design that went into all of these 7 brushes. I mean, tons of heart and passion and soul went into these brushes. I feel so incredibly proud to present these to you. All of the brushes have a unique design and shape to them, which allow you to get into hard to reach areas of the face, to really blend, to really create pro seamless makeup looks all on your own. So without further ado, let's open up this box of brushes. These are my Pro Artist Series brushes. 7 brushes. Let me show you them. When Lisa J and I first started talking about this collaboration, when we were discussing the kind of brushes that I wanted to make, first of all, she's so incredible. She gave me full reign to do anything I wanted. There was no restrictions. There was no, you have to do this or you have to do that. It was free reign. Do whatever you want. It's up to you. And so the creative freedom that gave me was just absolutely incredible. And I made sure I told her that I wanted to make pro-inspired and pro-quality brushes with everyone in mind. So whether you're a beginner, whether you're advanced, whether you're a pro makeup artist or you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a teacher, wherever you are in life and whatever you're doing, I wanted to make brushes that made your overall makeup application so much easier, so much more efficient, multitasking, and really precision based so you can get into hard to reach areas of the face where sometimes we have difficulty blending product. Now these are obviously very pro inspired brushes. They're very sleek. They're very lightweight as well, which is a really important part to me. I want them to have a lightweight feel so you didn't feel tired after holding your brushes during an entire makeup application. You can be your own pro with these brushes. I really want these brushes to inspire you to get creative, to think outside the box, and to find so many multiple ways to use each one. So let me give you a quick little intro on each brush. This is the N11. It's the ultimate angle brush. It's a wider, taller, a little bit stiffer angle brush. This allows you to get a quick application, like a one-stroke wing liner effect with your eyeliner. Also fill in your eyebrows really quickly and efficiently with this brush because it is larger in size. The next brush is the N12 brush. I wanted to make the perfect blending brush. This is the kind of blending brush that I gravitate towards the most, but I've never had like the perfect one until now. This is my N12 brush and it's going to be the ultimate smudger brush. So whether you're smudging out a pencil liner, a gel liner, eyeshadow, whatever you're smudging out, this brush is going to get the job done so quick and so efficiently. My N13 is the Precision Pro Blender. This is a taller, slightly more stiff, but has a tapered tip to it. This allows you to really get into hard to reach areas of the eyelid. So whatever kind of eyelid you have, if it's mature, hooded, deep set, this brush is going to help you get in there and blend your eyeshadow like a pro. Next is my N14. This is one of my favorite brushes. It's a brush that's very near and dear to my heart. I cannot do a makeup job without this brush. This is my Petite Precision Multitasker. It's petite, it's got a precise, more tapered tip to the top, which allows you to get into hard to reach areas of the face and to blend out and also apply precision powder in certain areas like under the eye and makes it incredibly easy and incredibly seamless. This will be the brush that you never leave home without. It's amazing for touch-ups and for buffing out areas of the face that just need some quick pick-me-ups. My N15 is my Precision Medium Powder Brush. This brush is not only amazing for powder applications, but it's also ideal for cream applications with bronzer, blushes, even liquid foundations. So don't be afraid to get in there and be creative and just use it for different formulas. It's going to perform well with all formulas you could think of. But for powder applications, this brush has got you covered. My N16 is very near and dear to my heart. When I was first designing this brush, I was actually taking an old brush and cutting it up to get that shape that I wanted, that tapered, pointed shape that allowed you to get in the inner part of your under eye. And I also drew this out, sent it to BK Beauty, and the way this brush came to life from pen and paper to reality was so impressive. And that was one thing throughout this whole process with BK Beauty is I never once had to worry about quality of the brushes that I was going to be putting out there. I knew firsthand the quality of BK Beauty's brushes are top notch. So I didn't have to worry about that going into this partnership, which was really amazing because it allowed me to focus on the overall design and the aesthetics and the purpose of each brush and not having to worry about the quality that they were going to be. I knew they were going to come out top notch, top quality. So that was really amazing throughout this whole process. Last but not least is my N17 Multi-Face Pro. This is a multitasking powerhouse. This brush will help you get an entire foundation application, entire complexion application done with just one brush. So you'll notice it has two sides to it. One side is for powder applications. It has a softer pickup. The other side is for creams and liquids, and it's an incredible brush for overall application and for blending out as well and to set. So this brush is a multitasking dream. You can now buy my 7-piece brush set with BK Beauty today, and I'm so thrilled to finally be able to say that. It feels so good. These brushes are a long time in the making, so I'm so happy to say they are now available. The 7-piece set is $180, but you can also use my code Nikki10 for 10% off my brush set. I'm so excited for you to try my brushes. They were designed by me with you in mind. They're gonna help your makeup application be so much easier. They're gonna help you blend like a pro. So get inspired, get creative with these brushes, and be your own pro. Now let's get into this makeup application. If you want to see how to get this signature makeup look right here using my 7-piece set, then keep watching. If you're anyone like me and you are always trying to grow out your brows and you have a few sparse little brows that are coming through, this is a really great way to camouflage those growing out phases of your brows in between. So if you're trying to grow out your brows and you want to disguise those little hairs and kind of just hide them, this is a really great trick. So I'm going to be using my N12 brush. This is a multitasking, multi-purpose brush. I use this for my lips, my eyes, my brows. There are so many ways you can use this brush. Let me show you one of the first ways, which is going to be taking a really small amount of concealer. This is a pro kind of palette from Makeup Forever. It's cream, highlighters, bronzers, contour, concealer, foundation. It's a multi palette. So I'm going to take my N12 brush, dip in a little bit to this lighter shade, and we're going to use this as a way to, again, clean up underneath my brows. Using that N12 brush, I'm going to sweep this very creamy product from Makeup Forever and just start to slowly line it up. Once I finish, I start to just change my direction of the strokes and just pull down the excess product. So there's a lot of excess concealer or cream foundation, whatever you want to call this, on this brush. So I'm pulling that excess product down. This is also going to act like half of our eye base. After I've done that initial line, I'm changing the direction of my strokes and just pulling this product, the excess amount, down onto the rest of my eyelid. What I love about this brush is you're gonna see how many purposes you'll find for it. It's such a multi-purpose brush with anything to do with your eyes, and again, your lips, which we'll get to that part as well. And I'm done. So now I'm gonna move on to an actual eyeshadow base, like an actual primer. The one I've been liking is from Rare Beauty. It's a really simple formula, very straightforward, gets the job done. It's very thin, doesn't feel heavy or sticky, which I really appreciate. They only have one shade. It's a light shade. It does blend out to be pretty sheer, but just to kind of warn you, if you have deeper skin, this might not be the right eyeshadow primer for you. So it has a little doe foot applicator. Now what I like to do with this product is take a whole bunch, and this is something I do professionally as a makeup artist as well in my kit. I'll take a whole bunch of product from the doe foot, usually on a palette. In this case, I'll be using my hand. And then I'm gonna take my N16 brush. This is my concealer brush. This is also a really great brush for applying any kind of eyeshadow base, packing on a product, really laying down a base product on your eyelids, like a concealer, like an eyeshadow primer, or even like a cream product on your eyes, like a cream eyeshadow. This is a really great brush to get the job done quick and easy. It does have a tapered, pointed tip on the very top, which allows you to get into the inner crevice, like that inner, harder to reach corner of your eye. So if you have hooded eyes, if you have mature eyes, if you have a strong fold, if you have really deep set eyes, if you have eyes, okay? Doesn't matter what kind you have. This brush is gonna make it a lot easier to get into this tighter, more hard to reach area and really get in there and blend the product and apply it really seamlessly. So taking my N16, I'm gonna dip into that eyeshadow base, just get a whole bunch on the flat part of the brush. Starting in the inner corner, I'm just gonna sweep this out. It's quick, it's easy, it's efficient. The design of this brush is flat in some areas, but it also has a lot of fluff. So as you get to the very tip of the brush and on the outer parts of the brush, there's a lot of fluffiness going on. So it really allows you to pack products on, really saturate an area of the skin or the eye with one base product. And then with the fluffy edges of it, you can blend out the edges. So you really get that multitasking benefit of this brush all in one. So I'm just gonna continue to sweep back and forth, and I'm gonna flip the brush to the tip of it and just buff out the edges of that eyeshadow base. This product does dry down really quick, this Rare Beauty eyeshadow base. So you have to actually work pretty quick with it. But my favorite thing about this brush is really just that tip and the shape of the brush, the way it curves and it grooves in with your eye. You can sweep it out. It just allows you to get such easy access to smaller areas of your face. This was really important to me when it came to the design of this brush. And I'll get more into the design of this when I actually apply my concealer, because a lot of thought went into it when it comes to this area of your face. So for now, let's blend this out. So in the areas that I want more of a saturated amount of color with this eyeshadow base, you'll notice I'm using a patting motion. This is going to push that product directly onto my eyelid. It's going to maintain the coverage, really maintain the pigment and the color payoff. And then with the areas that I want to buff it out so it's a little bit softer, you'll notice I'm changing my motion. I'm using the tip of the brush to really blend out and diffuse that product so it's not heavy in certain areas of my eye. So this inner part of my eye, this is where I really want to buff it out, just like I did on this side. Using the tip of the brush, going back and forth like a blending brush, basically. So you're really getting a 2-in-1 with the design of this brush. And as I get towards the end, I just kind of lightly feather it out towards my temple, and we're done. Eyeshadow base is on, and now we can move on to our actual eyeshadow. So the eyeshadow palette that I'll be mainly using is the new Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3. It's the all matte palette. You can see it's very well loved at this point. It has 2 eyeshadow bases. They're cream products on this end. I'm not going to be using these because I already primed my eyes with my Rare Beauty eyeshadow base. Instead, I'll be focusing more on these tones right here, and then we'll do a nice signature smoky black wing liner. So if you're like me and you're prone to creasing and having oily eyelids, a really good safe measure to take just in case and to make sure that eyeshadow does not crease throughout the day, take a little bit of loose setting powder. This is one I'll be using in a second when I am setting my under eye concealer. It's from One Size Beauty. It's their translucent powder, and I'll be taking probably my favorite brush. I hate to have favorites, I really do. But this brush is really special to me, and I'll get to it. There's so many things I have to say about this brush, but this is my N14 brush. It's small, it's mighty, it's a little mini powerhouse that does so much for you. So what I like to do is take this brush, my N14, dip into some loose powder. Pickup of this brush, I just have to talk about this little side note. It has really great, like, superior pickup. Like, it picks up product so well and also buffs it out, which you'll see again very soon. Buffs out products so incredibly well. It's such a great multitasker. So I just picked up a small amount of the One Size powder, and I'm going to press this onto the base of my eyelid. I'm going to flip and use the tip of the brush to buff it into this smaller inner corner of my tear duct. Now I'm fully set, and now I can go in with full confidence that my Patrick Ta palette is not going to look patchy in any areas. It's not going to skip on any areas that have not fully dried down. This is a really safe bet and something I always do when I'm working on my clients on set. The worst thing to deal with as a makeup artist or as a makeup lover, makeup wearer, is applying your eyeshadow and it hits an area of your skin that is not properly dried down or not properly set, and it skips, and you just can't fix it. No matter how many times you go over it and blend it, you just can't buff it out. It's a really big struggle. So we have avoided that, clearly. So now I'm going to go in with my N13 brush. This is my powerhouse blending brush. Now, I had a lot of thought that went into this brush. Every single brush has tremendous amounts of thought and effort put into them. This one is more of a stiffer blending brush. Now, the reason why I wanted this to be slightly more on the stiff side is because I really was thinking about people who have deep set eyes, heavy creases, heavy folds on their eyes, have really hooded eyes. If you have a brush that's a little too soft, it doesn't give you the precision to really get in there and work and blend into that eye area. So if your brush is too soft, you really don't get that full effect, and you really can't blend properly unless it's hard enough. So this one is not hard necessarily, but it does have some stiffness to it, which again is perfect for getting into hard to reach areas, hooded eyes, monolids, whatever you're dealing with your eyes. This brush is going to make it so much easier to really get in there and blend your products. So without further ado, let's use the N13 to start this eye makeup look. I'm going to start with this nice light medium brown. This is a beautiful soft wash of color. It's just going to be really light and natural across the crease. This is like my first transitional shade that's going to be like the foundation for the rest of the eye makeup to go on. So I'm going to take my N13. I always start in my outer corner and just start to sweep across. So just blending this first shade all across the crease, really blending it and buffing it out and blowing it out. You know, I love to blow out my shadows towards the temple. And if you don't know what blowing it out means, it just means really diffusing all the edges of that shadow in every nook and cranny of your eye. So not just keeping it cookie cutter essentially on your eyelid and anywhere your eye is, really blowing it out bringing it out towards your temple, bringing it in towards the side of your nose. That's what blowing it out means. Okay, we have a great blend on that first shadow. Now I'm going to dip into this shadow that's directly above it, slightly deeper, same brush. You're going to see that you really don't need that many brushes to achieve a great professional looking eye makeup look. So taking that deeper shade, and I'm going to layer it a little bit tighter in the crease. Something that my clients always request and expect of me is this kind of eye makeup look that you're going to see today. Same brush. I'm just kind of climbing up this palette right now. I'm going to dip into this next one right up here. So I'm going to be really particular where I place this color. I'm going to keep it really tight. You'll notice I'm really just buffing small circular motions with this shade. I'm keeping it nice and tightly blended in this outer corner, like this little outer V of my eye. It's a very universally flattering way to wear your eye makeup. And the stiffness of this brush mixed with, of course, the fact that it is a very tapered, has a nice tapered tip to it, which allows you to get into like that tighter area. Like right here, I have quite a bit of fold, especially when I get to this side. I have my eyelids start to fold. They just fold over. So this really gets in there and helps me blend and buff out that product. Okay, so now I'm just going to pull my mirror straight in front of me. So I don't have any shadows from where I'm looking based on where my lighting is. I'm going to look straight ahead, just make sure that my eyes are perfectly even or even enough. These eyeshadows are stunning. Just a little side note, they're absolutely stunning. We're going to move on to a Nabla Cosmetics. They're basically like a shadow stick. I've used these a million times. I love these. I think they're such an incredible formula. This is just a black, thicker pencil. They're very creamy. They're very easy to work with, especially this one. Okay, so taking that pencil, I'm going to gently start the application of this where my top and bottom lashes meet. Now it's going to be very messy at first, as it usually is, and then I'll teach you ways to easily clean it up. I am going to do one eye at a time because there is a dry down. I want to make sure that I'm able to get in there and properly blend. Switching back to my N12 brush, this, again, you're going to see so many multi-purposes for this brush. This is the brush I used originally to clean up under my brows. I'm going to take this brush now. I'm going to start by dipping into a teeny bit of this dark brown. I'm going to start with this dark brown first, and just a really, really small amount. And I'm going to gently just pull my eye very, very lightly and start to work this and blend out that creamy liner. This brush really gets in there. I've always gravitated towards brushes that are along this kind of shape and size, but I've never really found the perfect one. So it was really important for me to design one that was just perfect. It was the right amount of density. It wasn't too stiff. It wasn't too fluffy. It wasn't too big. It wasn't too flat. There was so much thought that went into exactly what this brush was going to feel like and how it was going to perform. And I'm so happy with the outcome. It makes your job just so much easier. I've taken this brush to set with me along with all my brushes ever since I've had my first round of prototypes, and I cannot live without it. So just buffing this back and forth, just being gentle, because I don't want to spread this black product everywhere that I don't want it. I want to have it really precise and in certain areas. So now as I get towards the inner part, I'm actually going to switch my brush now to the N11 brush. This is like the ultimate angle brush. I wanted to make an angle brush that was bigger in size, so it really just knocked out that application of product. Whether you're doing a wing liner, whether you're doing your brows and you're filling in your brows, this is like a ultimate angle brush where it just gets the job done so much quicker. It's a little bit wider, you'll notice, and longer than the traditional angle brush that you would use. It has a good amount of stiffness, so you really have a great amount of control, and you can get in there and be precise with your application. So whether it's eyeliner, gel, powder, brows, you can be super precise, but also get the job done much quicker. So I'm going to take my N11, and I'm going to dip into this darkest brown right here. And this is where I'm going to connect my liner all the way across, but I want it to be really thin and tapered. So using this angle brush where it's nice and thin is going to give me that kind of precision and that thin amount of liner. So taking this, what I like to do is just stamp it on. And we're done. Eyeliner is connected, but wait, there's more. I'm going to go back to my N12 brush and now dip into a little bit of the black shadow. This is such an intense black shadow. It's quite impressive. It's like, wow, gorgeous. Take that, and I'm going to smudge out even more that initial wing that I created. Just going back and forth and then connecting it to the dark brown. Let's switch gears. Let's go finish this side. Blend it out. And again, trust the process. If you're gonna do a look like this and you're doing your eyeliner like this in this style, I can't tell you how helpful it is just to do your eyes first and not have to worry about getting any fallout or messing up your base or your concealer. So do your eyes first. If you're gonna do this kind of look, it's extremely helpful. Switching back to my N11, dipping into that same dark brown from the Patrick Top palette, tap off the excess, I'm going to stamp this all across to the inner corner. Going back, I'm going to dip into that black shadow one more time with my N12 brush. Make sure that they're the same amount of thickness before I clean up this liner look. For my next step, I'm going to be cleaning off my N12 brush really quick with some brush cleaner because I'm going to use this in a second to clean up that wing liner. Okay, now that my N12 is nice and clean, I'm going to take a little bit of NARS concealer. This is the shade Tiramisu with my N12 brush. This is one of my favorite ways to clean up an eyeliner. You also see me use pointed Q-tips. That's another great way to do it with micellar water. This is a really easy way as well. So I'm going to take my N12 brush, looking straight ahead, gently pull my skin. Now in between, I'm going to wipe off that excess shadow, dip back into more concealer, and just remove this edge just by pulling product down. And now we have one very sharp, cleaned up black wing liner. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. To finish this eyeliner even more, I'm going to go back to my N11 brush, dip back into that black shadow, and just finish up and really lock in that shape. Now to tightline, I'm going to take a dark brown pencil. This is Dimensional Dark Brown from Makeup Forever. And I'm going to fill in the inside so you don't see any separation between my lashes and where my eyeliner is placed. It's going to make for a really dense, really solid liner. All right, mascara time. This is the Make Waves mascara in black from Tower 28. It's so funny. I know I'm so late to the game on this mascara. Everyone was loving it and raving about it. And the first time I ever tried it, I bought it specifically for my makeup kit to use in my pro kit. And of course, when I'm using mascara in my makeup kit, I'm using disposable spoolies, popping it in, pulling it out. You're wasting a lot of product. But not only that, your mascaras that you use in your makeup kit, they just dry down much quicker because of all that pulling the wand in, using disposable ones. It just messes up the formula. It really does, sadly. So when I was first using it, it was just in my makeup kit and I did not like it. I thought, what is all this hype about? I can't believe people love this mascara. I just didn't understand it. And then they actually sent me one and I kept it for myself, this one. And now I'm just like, I feel embarrassed that I didn't like this formula because it's fantastic. It's like a fantastic formula. Now I understand fully the hype. It lives up to the hype completely. It really helps with me. I feel like it helps keep my lashes curled. And it's really amazing for length. I think that length and separation, like definition, is the main thing that you see with this mascara. Not so much thickness, but it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I like the wand too. Now before we move on from the eyes completely, I'm going to go back to my N12 brush and I'm going to dip into this cream shade and a little bit of the lightest shade, the white in the palette. And I'm going to highlight my tear duct, but I don't really go right next to my tear duct. I like to go along the side to really open up. I talk about this a lot. It's one of my favorite signature moves or like my eye makeup looks. I like to place my highlighter in a more unconventional place, which is basically right along the bridge of the nose, like the top of the bridge of the nose. I like to place it right along the side and then just gently kind of sweep up the excess. It really opens up my eye shape, really elongates my eyes. I love it there. It's my favorite. So same thing, taking my N12, I just go gently back and forth. This brush is small, so it gets into this more small, compact area of your eye. And then same brush, taking the cream shade, I'm gonna lock in my brow bone highlight and also just kind of soften it with that shadow. Just sweeping it across my brow bone with the N12. This is a really tiny area. So having a small, flat, more precision-based brush to get in and under that brow to sculpt it and set it, it just makes it much easier. Okay, it wouldn't be a signature move if I didn't add a little pop of shimmer, like a wet shimmer to this eye makeup look. I love an all matte look, but I also love contrast. Contrast is what is like the spice of life with your makeup, especially your eye makeup. One of my favorite highlighters in general is from Fenty Beauty. You know, I love like the original one. It's like the How Many Carats. It's a wet, metallic, sparkly type highlighter. This one is beautiful. It's Rosé Rave, and it's more like the rosé toned. I'm gonna take my N12 brush. Again, multitasker. This brush I use for so many things. I'm gonna take my N12, dip into this stunning highlighter. Now this is a multi-purpose product. It's for your face, it's for your décolleté, your eyes. You can use it anywhere you want to highlight. So I'm gonna take it and just hit very specific parts of my eyelid. And my eyelids are more hooded, so I have to be very careful with the placement. I want to keep it on the base of my eyelid and line it up to where my crease is. It's a little subtle wash of shimmer. It's very subtle. It's not like chunky or super metallic. It's like a nice wet metallic, I should say. So same thing, pushing this onto my eyelid. Also use your fingertips for this kind of part. But if you have smaller eyes or more hooded eyes, you're going to want to get in there with a small precision brush for this kind of look. Before I finish my bottom lash line, which you know I'm going to do that because I love a smoky bottom lash line, let's get into the base makeup. Now I'm super excited because now I can get into the face brushes. I just showed you all my eye brushes. I'm going to use for my foundation the House Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I wear the shade 230 Light Medium Cool. I'm going to pump this out onto my palette. Now this next brush is my N17 brush. This is my multi-pro brush. This is multi-purpose, multi-function to the max. What's unique about this brush and what's really special about this brush to me and makes it really helpful when I'm doing a makeup application is I can use this one brush for all my makeup applications. So whether it's powders, creams, liquids, you name it, you can use this brush. This brush is dual fiber. So one side is going to be a lighter fiber. This is the side of the brush that I like to use for my cream blushes, my cream bronzers, my cream foundation, concealer, liquid foundation, anything wet or creamy. This is going to be your best friend and your best tool. This side right here. The other side, this is going to be great for your products that you want a softer pickup. So pressed powders, this is an ideal brush for that because you don't want a heavy application with pressed powders because it will just look heavy on your skin. This is going to be great for powder blushes, powder highlighters, touch-up powders, blotting powders, anything like that, anything powder form. This side of the brush is going to be your best friend for that application. So with this dual fiber brush, I'm going to start with the lighter side of this brush and dip into my House Labs foundation, just like that. And start to sweep this, starting in the center of my face. I always start in the center of my face with my foundation applications because this is where I need the most coverage. So I like to start out heavy in that area and then diffuse it as I get towards the outer parts of my face where I want it to be more natural, where I don't want it to be as detectable. When I was designing this brush, I wanted a brush that was soft, but also had some stiffness to it. Again, so you have that precision application with your creams and your liquid products and your powder products. But the way this brush flexes and molds to fit the unique parts of your face, so it flexes and it molds to glide onto your cheekbone, to glide underneath your jawline, to sweep underneath your chin. It really fits the grooves of your face and it really just blends and melts into your complexion as you're blending your products on. Now, for the areas that you want even more coverage, you would switch up your application with this brush and you instead would use a patting motion. This is going to give you that full coverage. So if you have any areas of the face where you want even more coverage or you want to layer your foundation to build up the coverage, this is the technique that you want to utilize to get that full coverage. Pressing it onto the skin. Now, another thing that I love about this brush is if I flip it to the very tip of the brush, you're going to get both fibers running through. This part right here makes for excellent and incredibly easy blending. So what I usually do is I'll take this part of the brush and I'll kind of go along my jawline, anywhere I want to buff out and really blend out the product. So you will find so many uses for this brush. It's so multifunction, it's so multi-purpose. And again, another area that I like to flip it to the very tip of the brush is to get between my brows. So if my brows are already in place, like they are right now, flip the brush and just go gently back and forth in between and then sweep above. It just makes getting your foundation on and blending it out and getting that pro finish to your makeup, it makes it so easy. So if you're not a pro, you don't need to be a pro to have pro looking makeup. You just don't. I can't stress that enough. So get in there, be your own pro, really get creative with this brush, find more purposes than just applying foundation with it. I promise you, you will find so many purposes for this brush if you just get creative and think a little outside the box. And also I want to point out too, don't be intimidated by this brush. It could be a little more intimidating. The fact that it does have two different fibers running throughout, don't be intimidated. It's just here to be your best friend. It's here to be your multitasking buddy that's just going to get everything done for you. So don't be intimidated. As I get towards my hairline, I use the tip of the brush where the fibers meet to blend and buff out the edges of my foundation so it's nice and it's seamless and it just disappears into my hairline, my ears, and around my jaw. For this next step, I'm actually going to do some actual contouring, meaning I'm going to use a more cool tone product to sculpt out and to really chisel certain areas of my cheek. I'm going to do my cheek only because I like to just warm up the rest of my face. The only place I ever really will contour is usually just around here, just to bring out my cheekbones and enhance them even more. One of the best brushes you can use is a small, more precise one that also has some fluff to it to help blend out the contour product. So this brush has the best of both worlds. It's small, it's mighty. Anywhere you want to chisel and be really precise with your contour application, this brush will have you covered. The precision tip of this is going to allow you to really get in there and sculpt certain areas of the cheek. So without further ado, let me show you how to contour with my N14. Same palette from Makeup Forever. I'm gonna dip into this cool tone contour cream to swirl the tip in there. And contour is very personal, so it's gonna be different for everyone. But for me, like I said, if I want to just sculpt my cheeks even more, I focus that contour right underneath my cheekbone. It's just gonna bring out my cheekbones even more. So taking my N14, I like it to be a little more natural. So I'm using light pressure, and I'm using the tip of this brush to just carve out and contour my cheekbone. And then just sweeping it back up towards my ear so there's no disconnection with the product where it starts and it stops. And contour is done on that side. Nice and easy. When you're contouring like this, when you're doing like a precision contour look, or if you're someone at home and you just want to contour like a very specific small area of your face, using a brush like this is going to just make it so much easier for you. So contour in itself does not need to be intimidating. Don't feel like the need to contour unless you really are wanting to push back or minimize a certain part of your face and your features. So if that doesn't appeal to you, if you feel like you're not trying to minimize the appearance of any feature on your face, then skip contouring and just warm up your skin with some bronzer. So now that contouring is done, I'm going to move on to cream bronzer, and I'm going to switch to my N15 brush. I love this brush. I mean, I love all my brushes. I love all these brushes so much. This brush has so many uses, just like all my brushes. They're all multifunction, multi-purpose to the max. So get the most out of these brushes. If you have them in your hands, make sure you think outside the box and use them for different things that you wouldn't typically think of, right? So actually, when I was developing this brush with BK Beauty, on a whim, I just decided to use this for a liquid application of foundation. And it blew me away. It's such a beautiful brush. It makes it so easy for applying a liquid foundation. You probably won't look at this brush and think, oh yeah, I would use this for a liquid foundation. It probably just says powder application, powder blush, maybe powder bronzer, and that's it. No, try it out with your liquid foundation. Try it out with your cream foundation. It gives you a very natural, very airbrush quality and finish to your makeup. So definitely, again, be creative, just get in there, get inspired, use it for different areas of the face that you probably wouldn't typically think to use it for, but let's stick to tradition for this part of the video, and I'm gonna use this for my cream bronzer application. So taking my N15, I'm gonna dip into this bronze, creamy bronzy shade in the palette, same palette. I'm gonna get a good amount on my brush. This brush is incredibly soft. It blends out products so effortlessly and so beautifully. So I'm gonna start on my cheek. So I've already done my contour. It's light, it's natural. But what I like to do is sweep my cream bronzer up around my cheekbone, around my cheek, and then up towards my forehead and a little bit around my temple. So the great part about this brush is it's fluffy, it gets the job done quick, but it has, again, a tapered, more precision-based tip to the brush. So the tip of the brush is really gonna allow you to get in there and buff and blend out the edges of your products. So it's not just fully rounded. You still get that precision-based tip where you can blend out and get that pro quality look to your makeup application. Now, when it comes to bronzing my forehead, this brush makes it incredibly quick and easy. Like I said, it's big enough to cover enough ground, so it gets the job done quick. But since it has that taper tip, what I like to do is push that taper tip and really buff that cream bronzer or whatever product you're putting on your forehead. You want to make sure you don't see that disconnection between your hairline and your forehead where the makeup starts and where it stops. This is where you get that pro quality look to your makeup. And this is where, if you have the right tools, it makes all the difference in your makeup application and your makeup outcome. It's gonna make it easier to get the job done. It's gonna allow you to get in there and be really precise with your application and your blending. Take a little bit more, and then the outer part of my forehead, if I want a little more application, like a broader application, I just pat it in. So just patting it in. Once the fine tuning and like the precision blending is done with the hairline, because that's the hardest part, honestly, is just getting it blended well enough near or into your hairline, depending on what hair color you have. If you're blonde, of course, you have to be very careful with this. Or if you have gray hair, you want to be very careful with this as well. I'm a little more fortunate. I'm a brunette, so you don't really see the bronzer if I apply it too close or into my hairline. So just something to note. So same thing. I'm going to sweep this now. It's going up and just blend it out. It's quick. It's easy. It molds into your face. It's soft, but it still has that precision-based tip to it. So you get the best of both worlds. Now to finish up this contour, I'm going to actually contour, but really just bronze and warm up my nose with my N16. Now when it came to the design and the overall aesthetics and the shape of this brush, I wanted to keep in mind not only just concealing the under eye, but really this brush was also designed with contouring your nose in mind. It allows you to sweep straight down the bridge of your nose, and the way the tip is more fluffy and longer at the very tip of it, it just blends and it follows the shape of your nose effortlessly. Taking my N16, dipping into that same Makeup Forever bronzer, I've saturated both sides. So not the flat part, but just both sides of the brush. And now starting at the top, I'm gonna line up the tip of the brush right in this inner corner of my eye, like right where the top of the bridge of my nose starts and where it lines up and meets the beginning part of my brow. So right in here and just sweeping it down. Now it's gonna look intense at first until I get in there with concealer, so just trust the process. But this is my favorite way to contour when I'm on set. So you can see the longer bristles at the tip of this brush follow the natural curve of your nose, making it incredibly easy and then seamless when sculpting out your nose. Now with whatever's left over, I kind of push it up towards the base of my brow. And you can either blend this product out with the same brush, but what I love to do personally is grab my N14, the same brush I just used earlier to do a little precision contouring. The tip of this brush and the fact that it's a little more fluffy allows you to just get in there and really get into this tight, smaller area of your inner eye where it's actually very difficult to blend, especially if you're trying to be careful not to hit your brows or to hit your eyeshadow or whatever is around that area. This brush is small and it's compact enough that it can get in there but still blend out the product because it has that fluffiness to it, and it also has that tapered tip. So you get precision blending, quick and easy, and just super, super seamless. Now, before I move on from bronzing and contouring, I'm gonna take my N12 brush, and if you're not new here, you're probably gonna expect what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna take the cream bronzer from Makeup Forever, dip my N12 brush into this. This brush, again, remember when I said it was a multitasking, multi-purpose brush? Use this brush for your lips. You will not regret it. It's such an incredible precision but blendable brush. It really helps to get in there and apply products and blend them out in the lip area. So taking that bronzer, and one of my favorite moves, this is a very old school makeup artistry type trick, is just to apply this above and around and just near the lip line to enhance your lip shape, to really get that optical illusion that you have fuller, more defined lips even before you put lip liner on. This is my favorite, one of my favorite things to do. It's such a signature move of mine. I did not create this, by the way. This is like a very old Kevin Aquan trick. And Scott Barnes also is like a big advocate for this technique. So I'm not trying to take ownership of this. It's just a technique that I have seen and loved for so many years. So blending it into my Cupid's bow. You know I love to do this. For me personally, I like to have more of a rounded shape to my top lip. It gives my lips a much more soft look to them, not so harsh. So it's a personal preference completely. So take my N12 brush and just aligning this above my top lip and just lightly shading it. Now we can move on to concealer. We've reached the point where we're gonna do some concealer. And for concealer, I'll be using the Tower 28. This is the Serum Concealer in the shade K-Town. This concealer is amazing if you have more dry under eyes. It feels like a serum. It feels incredibly lightweight, very, very hydrating, very fresh under your eyes. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna scoop some out on the top of my hand. And this is one of my favorite techniques. So taking my N16 brush, once again, my concealer brush, I'm gonna use the tip of this brush to get in there and to line up where I want this concealer to go. I'm also going to be using this as a way to further enhance that nose contour that I placed earlier, which you'll see in a second, and also to highlight certain areas of my face. So this brush is incredible for precision highlighting the areas of your face that you want to bring out and highlight even more. So taking it, I'm going to dip into my concealer, just like that. I'm going to line up the tapered tip of the brush to the inner part of my eye, right here, and just bring it down, just sweeping it. You know, this brush, when it comes to the under eye, the fact that it has the longer brush hairs at the tip, it really just follows, again, the grooves and the shapes of your eye seamlessly and so easy. So it's also great for cleaning up. If you want to use this brush to clean up your eyeshadow, you could absolutely do that as well. It would just be a much softer way of doing so. So what I like to do is apply the concealer, pat it in where I want the most coverage. So I'm going to dip into more. I want more coverage right here. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to pat it in instead of swiping. Patting is going to give you the maximum amount of coverage, like packing it in, I should say, versus swiping it back and forth. It's also more gentle on your under eye area, which is very delicate, and you want to be very careful of how you are tugging on it throughout the day and just in general. So I have majority of my product right where I have the darkest parts of my eye, which is this inner corner. Now, what I love to do is take a little extra concealer and line it up on the side of my nose, sweep it down, and then with the excess, buff it out. Again, this is something that I like to do if I'm really trying to sculpt my client's nose or my nose, if it's for a photo shoot and I really want to enhance and really like, again, sculpt that area. This brush is perfect for giving me that kind of precision, but also being multitasking and blending out the product as well. So now I'm going to take the tip of the brush, blend out the edges of this concealer, just like that. Now, if you know me, you know I like to self-set and let my concealers dry down a touch before I actually go in and set them with powder. So I'm going to do that for this side while I apply concealer on this eye. So same techniques, lining it up in that inner corner, sweep it down, and then gently pull it out towards my temple, giving my eye like a nice little lift. You know, there's definitely a theme throughout all my makeup looks and my makeup style, and that is I like to sculpt and I like to lift features, take a little bit more, pat it where I want more coverage, and really pack that product in, press it under my eyes. Now here's my favorite part. With whatever's left over on my brush, I like to sweep it around my nose. So using that tip to get in that little, you know, that hard to reach area of your nose. So just sweeping it back and forth. I'm going to highlight the top of my chin, and I'm also going to use the same brush. I'm going to line this up along the side of my bottom lip and carve up. This will give you this very subtle illusion of a more lifted bottom lip. So just sweeping this up and then blending out the excess. Last but not least, I'm going to use my N16 brush to highlight the rest of my face. Taking the same concealer from Tower 28, I'm going to dip into it. I'm going to flip the angle of my brush. I'm going to flip my hand upside down. I'm going to use this as a guide to pull up between my brows. And as I get further up, I'm going to tilt off to the side and just bring it across and above my brow, just like that. Same thing, taking a little bit more concealer. I'm going to just gently run this straight down the bridge of my nose for a really nice natural highlight. Now, here's where you blend it in. And what I love to use to blend it in is my N14 brush. Remember, this is like that powerhouse, multitasking little magic wand for blending. This is going to get in there and blend those smaller, more precision-based areas of your highlight. So taking this brush, I'm going to just blend out and buff out the edges using the tip of the brush and also the sides of the brush where it's a little more fluffy. Forehead's done. Now I'm going to melt these two worlds together by just gently blending using the tip of my N14. So right here, I'm going to blend these two worlds, making them nice, more natural, and a lot more seamless. When it comes to the top of the nose and that delicate, more thin highlighter on the bridge, I like to just take the brush and gently pat it in. This doesn't disrupt that product too much. It still maintains the placement. It doesn't get it into the rest of the nose, but it helps to just push that product in and blend it out so it's nice, pro-like, and seamless. So I'm going to take this brush and just blend out any other areas of my face that I see where I need some blending. Like under my eye, I'm just going to sweep a little bit across. Telling you, this brush, once you have it, if I had to have one brush with me when I'm doing touch-ups, either on myself, like let's say I'm just touching up my makeup in the car after a long day, this is that one essential brush that you have to have on hand for touch-ups because it is such a powerhouse when it comes to blending out areas of the makeup that have been too worn, that have now creased, that have smile lines, that have like noticeable wear and tear throughout the day. So I'm gonna take this brush, buff out my under eye one more time. The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm getting close to being ready to set my under eyes. So I want to buff out any excess product because if I have too much product under my eyes, I'm going to be prone to creasing. So buffing out using the tip of that brush. And now we're going to move on to cream blush. For cream blush, it wouldn't be a signature makeup look if I didn't pull out one of my favorite cream blushes. This is from Westman Atelier. It's the shade Petal. Petal is just one of the most gorgeous pinks you could try. It's so stunning. It's one of my absolute favorites. I have it always in my makeup kit and I always have one for myself. So I gotta pull up Petal for this. Now I'm gonna go back to my N17 brush because remember I said this is a multitasker for your face. This is the Multi-Face Pro brush. Like you can use this for any and all of your products. So I'm gonna go back to the lighter fiber side right here because I'm gonna be using this for the cream. And I just take the brush and I pick up however much I want. So I'm gonna pick up a decent amount. I love blush. I'm a huge blush fan. It's gonna look like this. So application wise, you're just gonna press it onto your cheek. So pressing, patting, and just kind of lightly bouncing this blush onto my cheek. It's effortless. You'll see when you're using this brush, you do not need to be a pro. Don't be intimidated by this brush. It is such a multitasker, and it makes your application with your cream products so quick and so easy. You just press it, and then any areas where you need a little bit more blending, you can flip it to the side and use that tip to blend out. Blush application on this side is done. I'm gonna now switch over. Same technique, brush to product to face. It's that easy. I cannot wait for you all to have these brushes in your hands and to get my signature kind of makeup look, but get it much easier with the right tools. Like these brushes will just make your application and your blending so quick and so easy. Going back to my N16 brush, I'm gonna use the tapered, longer fiber tip of the brush to buff out once more whatever excess amount of concealer I have under my eyes, and also any creasing that has happened since applying the concealer and then doing my blush before I go in and set it and lock it into place. So this is very important. Anytime you have any creasing in this very tight, very small area of the eye, this brush, using the tip of it to blend out any excess product and creasing that might happen throughout the day, is a game changer. It's just a game changer. So if you're prone to creasing under your eyes and you've done all the steps, you've prepped your eyes properly, you've done the right amount of concealer, and you still have set your eyes when you're still experiencing some form of creasing, it's natural. Don't beat yourself up over it. It's gonna happen. We're human. We have faces that move and do things and smile and laugh. Hopefully you're doing that all throughout the day. And if you're doing that all throughout the day, you're gonna have some kind of creasing. So if you take the tip of that brush and you buff it out, you're good to go. You're back in business. Now that we've buffed out creases and any excess concealer under the eye, I'm now ready to set my concealer. And I love using my N14. This brush was also designed specifically for powder placement and powder applications under the eye. This is the perfect size brush for applying, whether it's pressed powder, loose powder. I use both under the eyes. This brush makes it so easy and gives you such a precision and pro look to your under eyes. It's gonna make your under eyes so flawless. So I'm gonna take my N14, dip back into my One Size Beauty translucent powder. I like to get a good amount, and then my biggest takeaway and my biggest tip is to then push the product into the brush using the palm of your hand. Now what I like to do first is just press it under the eye. So a really small amount initially, and then you could go in and add an additional layer, but start small and start in thin layers and build it up, because you'll get a much better outcome and it'll be much more natural and feel more lightweight under your eyes if you do it in that kind of order. This is like your hand and your fingers, but better. So if you think about it in that way, you're gonna find so many uses for this brush. So I'm gonna go back in, take a teeny bit more powder, and I'm gonna line up the tip of the brush where it's more tapered to the inner part of my under eyes where it's really tight. It's really small in this area. This allows me to really get in there and be precise and give me that precision blend and application when I'm setting my under eye with powders. So once I've locked this in, I'm gonna sweep the excess along the side of my nose to lock that in as well. This is also something I always do because I have very oily skin in the T-zone. My nose particularly gets really shiny throughout the day, so I'm always using a loose powder to lock my makeup in that area so it stays flawless all day. With whatever's left over, I like to just gently sweep down around my nose. When I was designing this brush, it was really important that I had that taper tip, just like all my other brushes do. They all have that more precision-based tip to them, but they all have a little bit of fluff as well. This brush definitely expands to be fluffier than what you think. So it may look a little stiff at first glance, but once you get in there, you can really manipulate this brush and you can really buff, and it will spread out and give you a nice blend with your products. Okay, moving on to this eye, same technique. I'm gonna press it. I'm gonna line the tip of the brush in the inner corner of my eye and then sweep it back and forth where I have a little more fine lines under my eyes, just to really work that powder into place and to lock it in. Sweep it down the side of my nose, around my nostrils, just to set. I like to buff it around my smile lines and then out and up towards the temple. There's really no right or wrong way to use this brush. You can buff, you can pat, you can smudge, you can do so many things with this brush, and it makes it just so easy. And a little more powder. Let me show you how to further enhance your contour with this brush. I'm gonna take a little excess powder. I'm going to sweep it underneath my cheekbone. Going back to my N15, I'm now going to set and just add a little bit of powder bronzer to lock in the areas of my face that I applied a cream bronzer. Again, this is just a way of really locking in your makeup, further enhancing it and also making sure that it stays put all day. So I'm taking my Laura Mercier Baked Bronzer in the shade 03. I love this bronzer. It's a really nice, soft, natural bronzer. And this brush is, of course, incredible for applying powder bronzers, either on top. With or without cream bronzer, you can use this brush to apply just a powder bronzer, like a nice natural wash of powder bronzer. The way I like to apply it is by pressing it onto my forehead and then buffing it out. So again, we've reached the application point where we're setting the cream products that we used earlier with now a like-minded powder product. So same thing goes with the blush. Just like I set my cream bronzer with a powder bronzer, I'm now going to set my cream blush with a powder blush. This one's from Make. I love this shade. It's the Celestial Rose shade, but it's the Skin Mimetic Micro Suede blush. It's beautiful. It's a great formula. I'm going to flip my N17 brush now from the cream side and liquid side to now the powder application side. This side is amazing. So taking this side, I'm going to pat into the powder blush. Just pat this on top. So of course, this is a way to further enhance your blush if you are someone who has an event, or if you have a long day, or if you are someone attending a wedding, or if you're in a wedding, if you're a bride. This is like the best way to make sure that your blush stays put all day and doesn't just disappear. So locking that cream blush in with my powder. Once I have a good amount, I'm going to just gently buff in the outer edges using the tip of the brush, making it nice and seamless. Now if you know me, you know I love to sweep across my nose for like some warmth, just like a gentle amount of warmth across my face. And I'm also just going to take this and run it across my forehead just for some extra warmth. It's very subtle. Now let's dip into some powder highlighter. I bought a ton of highlighters recently. If you saw my highlighter haul, I tested out every single highlighter that is sold inside of Sephora. This was one of them, and I want to show it some more love because it's a beautiful highlighter. It's from Makeup by Mario. It is the Soft Glow highlighter in the shade Honey. So Honey is a powder. I'm going to use my powder side of my N17. I'm going to dip into that beautiful highlighter. This is a very strong highlighter, so I'm not going to take a lot of it. And sweep it on top. And then using the tip of the brush to really work it in. A couple pats, and you're done. I am going to go back to my N14, take the tip of this brush to get a precision highlighting effect on my nose. So I like to do the very top of the bridge of my nose. And then personal preference, everyone is different. I love the way this gives my nose a little lifted effect. So no surprise here. We're going to go back to an essential brush. This is my N12 brush. I'm going to take this brush, dip into that first shadow that we used from the Patrick Ta palette. This is a step and a brush that I cannot live without. To me, this really helps to frame the eyes, to further enhance them, to give them some soft definition without closing the shape up. Dipping now into the deeper shade that's right above that first shade, I'm going to layer this on top, just blending back and forth. The fact this is a small brush, it allows you to get into, again, like this very small area of your under eyes. So it gives you that precision to get in there and to blend. Now, last step, I usually will take just my N13 with whatever's left over on it. I'm not going to dip into more product. That's going to be way too much. With whatever is left over, I just gently sweep and diffuse that line a little bit more. This is a bigger brush, but the fact that it is stiff and it has the tapered tip, it allows you to still get in there and blend that very small area of your under eye. So it's going to diffuse that even more and soften it. And our eyes are almost done. I'm just going to add some mascara to the bottom lashes just for a little more impact. Moving on to lips. For lip liner, I'll be using the Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine. This is like the little cute mini travel size. I love this for like my purse and my bag. I'll throw it in there. And it doesn't take up a bunch of room, which is great. So I'm going to line my lips with this pencil. Grab my N12 one more time. I'm going to blend out that lip liner just to soften it a little bit more. Now that my lip liner is on, one of my new favorite lipsticks is from Ravi Beauty. This is Ali Glein's makeup line. These are so fantastic. They feel so nice on your lips, but this shade in particular, Lily, has my heart. Lily is like my favorite type of lipstick color. I've been wearing this nonstop since she sent it to me, so thank you, Ali Glein's. But it feels super hydrating, very lightweight, very easy. So I'm going to apply Lily on top of that lip liner. Stunning. I'm going to be setting my makeup with the LYS Natural Finish Setting Spray. And as the final step in the signature makeup look, using my Pro Series brushes with BK Beauty. Close to you, close to you, close to you. Close to you, close to you, close to you. I hope you enjoyed this look using my 7-piece brush set with BK Beauty. This is a signature makeup look of mine. I hope this inspires you to get creative, think outside the box, and to be your own pro. Don't forget to use my code Nikki10 at checkout, and also leave me a comment. Let me know which brush appealed to you the most. Which one are you most excited to try? I would love to hear your thoughts. I can't wait for you to try these brushes. You're going to love them just as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching and for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.